switch. Everybody scratching at the extra trade itch. Pour the Guinness, grind the tree. Always on live for all to see. Split the G and light the J. Come with rate, let him show you the way. DJ now was all by the book. Nowhere to hide, come take a look. Rake trades, the bake trades, it all gets done while the man chills out under the Puerto Rican sun. Chat cooling out for one last trade. When the DJ now was sign flashes, it's on the way. Load up the Evo, contracts times 10. Look for that failure, trigger and do it again. Break out of the range and keep on with the trend. We're here doing DJ now was with all of our friends. Every day if we're green or red, sometimes you just got a hood rap DJ and shit with your friends. Pour that Guinness or spark the J. We're gonna DJ with the sign on either way. Every day we got more down. We're gonna yee and eval and go for the crown.
Hey guys, how we doing? How we doing? Hellboy, what's up, dog? What up? Might just get some drama with this whole Iran situation. We shall see. Oh, I am just hoping my stream doesn't do the buffering thing that everybody said it was doing yesterday. So fingers crossed we're good to go on that front. We shall see. We shall see. Bow, 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 bow. Trying to get myself oriented here, see if there's anything worth kind of sharing from a pre-market plan perspective. I still think we come back for what time was that? Was that this morning? There you go. I still think we come back for 77.25 personally, but as far as SPX goes, that's just me. I don't even know if you guys can see this stuff. I never know how to put this page together, guys. I'm such a noob. Such a streaming noob. What's up, Matthew? How's it going, guys? Fun one. I think we go right here. I think we pin right up under it. I think everything has kind of been pointing there from the pre-market. So unless we get some big old dumpy news to kind of do something like this, I think the writing is on the wall. That is just me. I don't know about y'all. What's up, Balaji? What's up, Jay? John, sorry. Keep wanting to call you by your Discord name, so it's messing me up. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for being here. We'll go ahead and draw our little arrows. I think we know what I'm going to do. Nobody here is probably too surprised by this development. But, yeah, here we are. Obviously, we didn't get this upside move today. So here we sit. Whole lot of nothing. I don't really know about a trade from here. I'm kind of tempted to take a long on tight risk. What's up, Sunshine? Adam, that is. I am in an options trade right now. And I guess the best way to draw that trade is literally to say, this is my trade. 20, 15. This is my trade. As long as we finish anywhere inside of that box, I get paid. I get paid the most if we finish right here. Space China said crude. $10,000 running profit, waiting for more upside. I'm here for diamonds, not for pennies. Small profit. I am also long oil. I've been long oil. Long semis, long oil for a while, kind of a barbell trade. Now I'm just kind of hedged on the index to the downside, but I am long oil into the fall. This whole Iran situation is not going to go quietly into the night. I don't believe. I have my opinions there. And I am a firm believer that things are going to get worse before they get better on that front. And people just keep on bidding the market up, thinking that AI trade has no need for energy. The rest of the world doesn't run on energy. And that this oil impact is just going to keep getting kind of pushed to the side. I really, really, really believe that firmly. And I think anything else is just falling for the manipulation that's happening in that market. So kudos to you, Space China. We are in agreement. What's up, cutie? What's up, Miggy? Thanks, guys, for joining. I had to go back to some old glasses that I don't even think sit on my face right because I broke my other ones. So here we are. Got to start wearing contacts again, I guess, but staring at a screen all day makes my eyes get dry. So, just life in your 30s, you know, you just get tired. Things stop working the way they used to. Unfortunately, I did not listen to myself and my pre-market plan right here because I'm already in an options trade. But this is the spot where if you guys saw the pre-market plan, you would have known that based on that positioning, if I was going to long today, it was going to be from right here. Because look what matches the pre-market plan, the intraday plan. This is kind of the do or die spot that I like to long from more often than not, right? Because the idea is if we sell through here, while we could kind of go down a little bit further, right? You've got these gaps from the pre-market kind of showing up. The assumption would be, unless you sell really rapidly through here and think you're going to extend this downside much harsher, the passage of time should just kind of buoy you to kind of do this, right? You just kind of hang around long enough to just get drifted back up to this position. So that was my pre-market plan on the assumption we did this sell early though, right? Had we kind of dipped down early, I would have watched this spot to long back to here to maybe go test up here and then probably stall out up here just to finish kind of back. So now that we're doing this kind of in the afternoon, I am less interested in that because charm is also a thing where if we hang out under this position, we can still get magnetized lower, right? So if I lay the current intraday positions over the pre-market, you'll see that this balance where I put my fly trade on is actually bigger. It's like 3 times larger. But the rationale remains the same. If we're not holding under this strike, I like the potential to just drift back up here like this. But if we sell under this strike, even though there's some decent positions here, right? You need to stay under that to kind of follow this shape to a balance here or here, right? Because everything below you is still kind of doing this broader thing, right? So if you're not under, all right, guys, give me a second here. Is that any better? Any better at all? Nothing? Bueller. Anyone? Are we stable? Literally sitting here with the thumb up my butt, not knowing if you guys are hearing me or seeing me, trying to close literally every conceivable thing. So I have no pissed off. Oh, guys. Please let me know if this is any better. We're back? We're back for now? All right. Well, let's see if we can't get this seeming to go the right way. Every time I see you guys say lagging, I just like, panic. Anyway, so same thing from the pre-market. I've actually got the intraday positions, the brighter green and red, laid over what was the pre-market positioning. So you guys can see the shape has mostly remained the same. From the pre-market plan, I pretty much laid out, I think we're probably going to oscillate around this 77.25 SPX spot, which is like 77.52-ish on ES, right? And unless we really lost or sold aggressively through this kind of 7700 SPX, 77.25 area on ES, right? The odds of us kind of wanting to drift back to that anchor spot were very high, okay? It also meant that it was harder for us to really get going kind of above, where did I draw it out? I had a line kind of around, I want to say right here is where you would consider from this red line up is where things were actually really strongest on the negative gamma standpoint. And as the days gone on, most of what is below, let's say, this area is where the positive gamma started. And then as time moves on, right, it's kind of more like you could maybe go down here. But the more you stick in this range where we are, this shape is kind of saying if you're not under this to get shoved down lower here, the whole rest of the day is doing the same thing with these arrows, right? Pointing you here, pointing you up here. And if you're not down under this, this whole range is kind of pointing you to stick in this box. So if you're in here and you're not under this one, you're just kind of being compelled back up towards this balance. And that was there from the pre-market. Okay. And there are these other Greeks that exist. So the whole thing we talked about the other day about this move being really crazy and kind of mechanical and inherently weak in a way is because if I said this line is negative gamma, right? We move through negative gamma with a lot of momentum. And when we do that, volatility expands, right? So when volatility expands, normally what happens, depending on the direction and the Vanna environment, the sensitivity to volatility changes, how market makers hedge via buying and selling futures changes. But because everything above us is overall negative positioning, equaling negative gamma across the board, and the Vanna is negative, what happens is as we rocket higher, the volatility changes on those positions that are making market makers buy already because we're moving that direction with momentum. As that volatility changes, it's causing them to actually have to buy even more than they normally would. So the reason why didn't we have any real big pullbacks on Tuesday? There is no chance for a pullback. They have to buy with momentum. The same momentum that just made them buy is making them buy double, essentially. And you're in a range where that just keeps expanding. It wasn't until the very end of the day that we kind of ran out of steam. And that was more about the clock running out than anything else. That move could have kept going. If you had another 2 hours on that day, that likely kept going higher. So we are still in that environment. What made yesterday really interesting that we talked about at the start of the stream. Why, when we got these kind of pops higher, right? We opened, popped, rejected, popped back higher. Every pullback we had, VIX was dropping. That is a representation of the inverse of the normal relationship between volatility. Price going up, vol drops, right? Price goes down, vol goes higher. That's not happening right now. So it's really kind of crazy that we are in an environment that is inherently tricky. It's hard to give as much to these positions when the things that make the environment they exist in and thereby influence kind of out of alignment, right? Every time you get a pullback, you would be expecting VIX to start rocketing, and it's actually dropping, right? There is technically less volatility as we pull back as opposed to going up. Looks like we're lagging again. But essentially, this is just a really tricky time in the market. So even with these positions, the positions are kind of our probability framework still, but they're a little bit at odds with one another. So what's really interesting too is that you can kind of consider gamma being the rate of change, right? How fast something changes with relationship to price moving up or down. But the whole Vanna element about what happens when those prices change because of the up or down movement is exacerbated one direction but not the other. We're in this weird thing where any other day you'd be looking at this going, wow, if we sold through this big strike, we'd probably get a lot of momentum to the downside. You'd want this arrow kind of pointing down here. But what actually happens as we sell is that there isn't that normal volatility expansion to the downside that gets things cascading, because we actually have this positive gamma below us and Vanna is getting less negative the lower we go, which means it's actually kind of buffering any sells that we get, right? So it's an inverse of the normal relationship. This is not a normal occurrence. You very rarely find yourselves in markets like this. The fact we're finding ourselves in this kind of a scenario at all-time highs makes it really tricky, right? Because you're essentially saying, wouldn't I want this environment at all-time highs to keep going higher? Yeah, you would. Because if you get some strong bidding, if somebody shows up or there's a catalyst, there's some positive news, and you get that reactive bid, you're likely going to have another day just like Tuesday lurking around the corner. The problem is nobody's doing that right now. We've got a big data print coming tomorrow with NFP, right? You've got some macro stuff floating out there. You've got this whole, the Strait of Hormuz and blah, blah, blah. People are a little on edge. They're kind of pausing after this huge rally because there's this unknown sitting out there with NFP. But once the unknown becomes a known, there's a little more risk off, right? And if we have a lot of people trying to bid up through this range where things are overwhelmingly negative, you could have easily seen a day go like this today, right? And just get all of this fuel to rip to the upside. And then the volatility expansion is going to make market makers chase that twice as hard, just like Tuesday. So the thing that makes it tricky is I want to long in that scenario. I want to be there, right? But the inverse is if I don't believe in this rally, and I think that was a really empty kind of mechanical upside move because of these dynamics, right? If something happened more mechanically speaking and not organically, right? There wasn't really a lot of people who were buying that rally going, fuck yeah, the market's so healthy. I believe everything is peachy keen and everything's going to be great. I'm going to lump into this. What happens when we actually pull back where there wasn't a lot of real participation? It's inherently risky. But I can't actually short this with any conviction right now because every time we try to sell, there's this other thing sitting there beyond what we already know that's kind of reducing the volatility of us selling harshly. If you don't have volatility expanding as we sell to the downside, none of this really is as attractive as it would normally be. You would have to have like real big market flow turn around and say, screw it, I'm selling everything, right? And that's just harder to do when you have two forces slowing things down. When you have broadly positive gamma below you, right? Where did we say that kind of started today? Pretty much right here. And then again, it gets a little bit more influential down here. It's harder to think we sell meaningfully below this when you know that there's already positive gamma slowing you down when you go that direction. And now there's this other force that's making it even harder to sell aggressively. Because the thing that should be helping you when you sell down, the VIX ramping higher, is not actually taking place. This is a unique environment in the market. So these are the kinds of days that I kind of feel like I've got the crystal ball in a way, because I'm aware of this, where somebody else is out there going, oh, it's a rigged market, blah, 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 right? They don't have a clue what's going on. They can't rationalize why VIX is actually dropping when we're dropping. They don't have an explanation for it. They can't actually comprehend what's going on. So if you have this awareness and you know how these things interact with one another, you can find an edge in that. You can find the higher probability on the day, right? So something to think about. Shekzad, did I miss something, my dude? Well, it says some people aren't lagging, so I'll take that as a positive. I'm very much apologize, guys. We'll try to get to the bottom of it and see what's going on. Yeah. I will just say 30 frames a second, my CPU usage is at like 2.5%. I'm hitting 63 to 6,700 kilobytes per second, no drop frames. So whatever's going on, guys, I don't know what that's in relation to. So hopefully we can keep the stream healthy, but I appreciate you guys sticking around through all of the drama. So thoughts on the likelihood of VIX being manipulated? No, it's not manipulated. I think the thing with VIX that you've got to remember is that you've got different people expressing their views in the market and how they're hedging certain positions. They'll hedge it through trading volatility, right? VIX has calls and futures just like the index does, but you're generally trading that against something else. So the same reason why there's gamma for options positions and SPX and how that trades ES futures, the same thing happens with VIX, right? If VIX has a bunch of short calls, for example, and VIX starts going higher, it's going to accelerate through that range for the same reason that we see these red and green bars and know how things get faster or slower with the index positioning. So same thing happens with VIX. It's much harder to manipulate, though, because of how those expiries actually work. So does this indicator work with volume delta? The bars, Shaq? You're gonna have to ask me that a little more clearly. I guess I don't know what you mean by that. Like from a CVD standpoint, this is not volume. These bars are actually market maker positions in total, the net long or short positions a market maker would hold. So good the last 10 minutes. Sweet. Good to know. Thank you for letting me know. Thanks for coming back, Banner. Good to see you in here. Lyrics. Did you take any trades today? I took trades today. I took trades last night. I actually had a one-on-one with a student, and I'll show you guys the trade that I took last night. While we were doing our one-on-one, I caught this short. And then when we got down here, when you looked at the day's profile, where did we kind of hold? I took a long on NQ and on ES from here and got out. And then I took a short from about here, where was it, like 5:30 this morning, 6:30, somewhere there. And I held this short all morning and I got out because I had to on a consistency rule and these Tradeify growth accounts that I think I've got it up right here. This was a fresh one. So I made my $1,600 on this one. If you guys can see that on the screen. So that one I should be able to take a payout on. I think in one more day. I think I technically could today, but I wanted a little bigger payout across all of those. But that's a Tradeify growth account, so I had a $1,600 limit. And now I'm not in anything but a butterfly trade. If you guys want to know why I took that butterfly trade when we were at the top up here this morning, I took it and I basically get paid if this happens. As long as we finish, inside of this range, anywhere inside of this, I make money. The most I can make is $2,000. So I got it really cheap. The most money I can make on that position is if we finish right on the money at 77.25 SPX. So as long as we do this and we kind of get this drift back towards that area and it finishes inside this box, I am making the money. So that is the only trade I'm in currently. Again, could I have taken on this wick the same trade I talked about in the pre-market plan, which would be the do or die spot on the day? If I'm wrong, I should be wrong in a hurry. It's going to be harder for me to be wrong in a hurry because of everything we just talked about with positive gamma and the whole volatility angle, right? And you could maybe take like a 2.5 hour trade from there with a 10-point stop. I just don't want to take another trade. I'm in a trade that already expresses that direction, but if I was going to do one, I do it small size and just think that we're going to get that reversion higher, right? That would be my trade if I was going to take one at this point. So that is my answer, Lyrics. Jim Bob is confused. Negative gamma is selling, positive gamma. Why wouldn't the people shorting want it to continue going down? Why wouldn't the people going long want price to go up? So I think there's some confusion there. Jim Bob's asking a question, and maybe I'm misunderstanding it. So the thing you have to remember, guys, I'm just going to leave this here. So people know what that is. The thing about these positions that you have to remember, okay, is that market makers don't give a shit about direction. They only care about direction insofar as how much they have to buy or sell futures to remain flat, right? Market makers make money on the spread. They make the difference in those gaps in the spread, right? So they're not making money on it going up or down. They don't care about it directionally. So the people shorting, of course, they want price to keep going down, but market makers are only obligated to keep selling pressure dependent on those dynamics, right? So if price isn't moving through that strike right here at 77.25 or 27, right? If price doesn't push through the other side of that, as long as we're staying over it, the market makers that are short that position have to buy futures. That's how hedging works. Okay? So if we have market makers long up here, they're selling futures. But the reason why we drift back up is because those market makers that are long, all the futures they sold all day long, if price is even in the neighborhood, the reason why we tend to drift or magnetize towards dealer long positions of size is because all the futures they've been selling all day, as price gets closer to it, and what do we know happens by the end of the day, right? Where's 3 p.m.? Between where we are right now and right here, how much or how little these things are worth changes rapidly the closer we get to this blue line, which means the amount of futures market makers are buying and selling from these biggest positions that are closest to price changes. So if we are hanging out all the futures that they sold all day long because they're long this position, that's how they've remained flat, as price is in the neighborhood, they have to start buying those futures back because they're off sides, right? If price is actually close to there, it starts pulling you closer. It's that idea of polarity, magnetism, right? What happens when you get two magnets together? They try to push each other away, right? But then at some point in the day, you start doing this and you twist it the other way. Now those magnets want to pull together, right? The polarity changes. That's what happens, okay? That's why we pin and we grind and we chop and we don't really go somewhere. So that's how you have to look at this, is until the relationship changes, market makers react how they react. So if we understand the probabilities of where we move in the day relative to how big or how small the influence from market makers and their positions and how many futures they have to trade changes with time and price, meaning where are we relative to those positions, how much time is left, and what influences are strongest, right? Given those situations, or those scenarios, I should say, that tells me what the highest probability move is from here. So I watch when it gets to a place. Am I seeing what I would expect? Do I place a bet on the probability of what I expect happening? If not, then what's the counter to that? How would it change the probability of their reaction, right? So that is why when I say, I think when I draw these arrows, right, from the pre-market, if we're not over this, we're under it, where does it point us back to? If we're not under this and we're over it, where does it point us back to? If we're not substantially lower to activate any of this stuff down here and get this kind of a move, if we're over that, we go back to balance. And it's harder for us to move through all of this when there's only this much time before the end of the day, because the longer the day goes on, the stronger this stuff gets. So I really hope this is starting to sink in for you guys. And if not, that's why we have the group classes, right? We do this every day. We talk about today's price action. But if you want to learn more about the Greeks and how they interact and how all this stuff can be a factor for your trading, that's why we do the classes. That's why I do the mentorship. It's more guided and hands-on. But the easy thing to watch on these live streams is literally, it plays out every day. Every day you can see these dynamics, right? You can understand what a high probability setup is versus a lower probability setup. So to the point earlier about why aren't we selling more aggressively? We're in this negative range of positioning. If there's not an impetus to change what the relationship is, and those sizes are not actually like, let's say it was the inverse, right? We'll take all this away. If we actually, just bear with me here a second. If we actually said, okay, this is a big red bar, and then a smaller one, and then a little one, and then another big one down here, then that's pointing you back down this way more. There is more selling to keep you selling, right? But that isn't the case. What is the case? This is the biggest thing that can sell us lower. We are holding over it, which implies it's going to buy futures. And there's not another place that's selling against us until here and until here. And if we cover this strike, now they're also buying until we run into a glob of what we know is selling. But at some point in time, when time is a factor, because time is a factor all day long, all of these are options, which means they expire. And if they expire today, the influence of these things that dictate what that option is worth when it expires become outsized. The closer we get to the end of the day, the bigger the position, the closer we are to it, the bigger the influence, right? But there are other things out there like volatility and whatever people in the market are doing to move us closer or further from these places that can be more influential than what the market makers are doing. So if you use this as a probability framework to say, I know someone is sitting there doing this, right? And the only thing you don't know is how many people show up in the market otherwise to influence where we go relative to those. Which impact do you think is going to win out? Which one is going to be bigger or smaller? So the whole thing at the start of the stream where I said, I'm not going to take this long, but the do or die long spot that I mentioned from pre-market is still a valid trade here because of everything we just talked about. Time, shape, volatility, what's below us, right? But it's less attractive to me now than it was early. If we would have gotten this shoved down like we did here early and held that position, I would have been long all day long, right? I'd have been long looking for a long to here to see if we get to here to the overnight high, to then go test the top of the range. But we didn't get that. Instead, we got this trade and I put my butterfly on and I took a short in the pre-market thinking We haven't been able to get over this spot all night long. So until we do, prove me wrong. If you have enough gas in the tank, prove to me that you have what it takes to fight this traffic all day, right? The thing I tell a lot of people that I work with, if you've been in one of the group classes, you probably remember this, right? If you looked at this like a map, if you literally said, okay, instead of alternating sides, they're still green and red, but if I'm pushing a boulder up a mountain, right? And I tried pushing the boulder up the mountain. I got over this one. I cleared this mountain. I'm going to pick up speed when I fall through this valley, but I'm not going to really maintain any speed and keep going when it flattens out, right? And then the next thing I have to do is try to get up another mountain peak. If there's not enough active flow, if there's not enough people pushing me up this mountain and I lose steam and the ball gets up here or it gets to this little mountain peak and I run out of juice, where am I going to come back to? Probably the next mountain peak, right? And if I fail to hold on to that mountain peak and the ball rolls back, where is it going to go? But if there's just enough flow to keep me on this side of the mountain instead of falling down this side, right? And some other people show up and pick up some steam, they're going to go back to the next mountain peak. And then if they keep pushing and keep pushing, they'll probably finish the day here, right? Because there's only so much time for me to keep pushing that boulder. So where do I kind of fall? And if I know that there's people that are going to be pushing me this direction anyway, just because of time, that's where you get this idea of the arrows, right? If you're not under it, you're over it. So where are you going to settle at the end of the day? What's my morning plan today, guys? If we're not over this and we're not over this, we're probably here. If we don't sell off aggressively, we're probably coming back to here. This feels like a rangy chop day. If, then, unless. If this happens, then I'm looking for this, unless this happens. There's a reason why I took this trade and I'm just sitting in it. Because I think we're not going to go anywhere and we're probably going to finish closer to the middle of this box than we are away from it. All right, you guys just got the whole framework for my trading methodology and a 10-minute rant while we've been fighting performance issues. So let me catch up with the chat. Sorry about that. Let me see here. The pre-market that I mentioned, PAP, is in our Discord. And then I'll do like a trade recap at the end of the day on YouTube and Instagram. Might be a dumb question Zach asked, but how and where do you see Vanna is influencing the mechanics? So just so you guys know, and somebody was asking about the indicator that I have on the screen is just for trading view, but the same exact view that I'm replicating here is in the data provider that I use called VS3D. I have some really exciting news, hopefully by the end of today, that I'll be able to share with you guys about VS3D in the near future. But what I do is I just take that data and I put it here so I can see this positional view on TradingView. But in the platform for VS3D, they have what's called a gradient chart. And the gradient chart shows you where things are more or less positive for Vanna, Delta, Charm, and Gamma. Okay? So understanding how all of those things interact with one another and looking at that and having a framework for it and knowing that relationship, then you come in and you're just saying, well, based on the positions, I know if we fall through this, volatility should expand, but not today because it's expanding into positive Vanna instead of negative where it normally would. So that whole thing we talked about at the start of the stream between Vanna, Vega, and the delta of these positions and how that Gamma also kind of gets buffered a little bit when it's positive below us because Vanna isn't expanding the way that it would with volatility changes to the downside as opposed to the upside. Once you have that framework, you don't have to actively think about it. And again, this is a very, very unique time in the market. You don't normally see spot price going up and volatility going up. You generally see the inverse of that. So because we are in a unique environment, it helps to know what those mechanics are and why you shouldn't be like shorting the whole necessarily. Or if you are going to short, where's the strongest possible place to do it from, right? That is the benefit of that information. But that is in the platform. Nick, yeah, Shaq is talking about Gex, which, thank you. Glad you're picking it up, or you have some awareness here. Chris said, are there any books that you've read which help you understand gamma market maker positioning? This is a question I get a lot, guys. And this is also like why for me doing the mentorship thing and being here talking about it for free every day on this channel is what it is. When I started, I scoured every YouTube video known to man. I read every website I could that had any definition of gamma, charm, Vanna, right? There's, orders of Greeks. There's first, second, third orders, right? So like this one is here and it impacts this one here and this one here. And what is the relationship between all of those things? But it really just boils down to volatility, the impact of time, and the impact of direction, right? How quickly do all of those things correlate and which one outweighs the other in what scenario? That's all knowing the Greeks boils down to. And the positions are where those influences are derived from. How many positions are in one place versus another? How strong does that make it? Under what circumstance, if price moves up or down, does it impact this? But there comes a point where you don't even care because it just becomes like muscle memory. And you're using the positions as your anchor to know if price goes here, volatility should expand, this should happen, this should happen. If it doesn't, then this is the inverse and this is how I'm going to take a trade, because that's less probable to happen, right? So even though you can be in a positive gamma environment, you can still have red days in the market, right? This is giving you the map of the day and telling you if you're here about this time of day, you're more likely to be able to go here. But if you're down here at this time of day, it is less likely you get all the way back up there unless this thing happens, right? So that's how you can think about this. So I don't have any books. No, there are books that you can read on it, but it depends on how you take to this. Somebody is more visual. Somebody else might want the hard math, right? You want to look at all the options pricing methodologies, most popularly Black-Scholes, right? But that might not speak to somebody else. So it's really about how you learn. And my goal with talking about this every day is to get somebody exposure to it that doesn't otherwise know, that might think, oh, this is too difficult, that's too hard. It's really accessible. And if you guys are like anyone, like the guy that I worked with last night, he's based in the Philippines, right? So for him, it was just, he's already had some exposure to Gex. He uses a different service that is more naive in nature. It's making that very basic assumption that everything above us is positive and everything below us is negative. Right now, somebody using that service is probably getting their shit pushed in, right? Because they don't have an explanation of why here but not there. They just see a line that says this is a gamma level, but they don't know what it actually represents beyond there's a high concentration of something sitting there. Well, how is that any different than a volume profile or some level that you drew because it looks like support, right? If you don't actually know what's there, you're making something up that it's important, but you don't know why it's important. The benefit of having that extra layer of data is to know what has to happen there, mechanically speaking. Someone is obligated to do something there. And then if you actually know the why they're obligated to do something there, you can observe who is winning. That reaction, that obligation from the market maker side, or is the market, the active market and the volatility of how they're moving, winning out? And what does that mean? The market maker is either going to help or hurt if they keep winning, right? So you can Google things and read things, but if you come back here, you're going to pick this up a little bit more every day. And if you want more help with it or guidance, we have these group classes we're doing. And I do have one. If you guys have attended one of those already, we're going to do kind of the next phase of that I hinted at. I'm going to open that up for registration. And I'll announce that as far as the date and time, but we'll do a weekday one. And then I'm going to do a little bit further out. We're going to do like the first group class, kind of the beginner class for everybody else. I'm going to announce a date and we'll open registrations and the wait list for that so we can get as many people that want to join there. And it's been a learning process for me doing this mentoring thing, knowing that some people learn it a little differently than somebody else and trying to bridge that gap so it's more accessible to everyone, and then just kind of have that framework in place to say, like, here's some materials that I think are helpful. Here's some slide decks that really explain this the way that we do in those classes that are great. The one that I think a lot of people identify with that I think is really cool that I want to show you guys actually is, let me see if I can find it here. Give me a sec, guys. You guys see that? I love this. I spent so much time and effort on this. I burned through like 5 days of Fable tokens to actually get the mechanics of this. What I can do is actually load any day's price in here and replay it for you to show you how things work. But in this case, if you want to understand like why things get pinned, for example, if all those people pushing the boulder up the hill are the market, right? Like active flow in the market, they push the ball. But how they push the ball relative to the land they're trying to cover, like that mountain idea, right? They're trying to push up a dealer long spot. If they don't have enough juice to get over it, the ground kind of flattens out, right? They don't necessarily accelerate backwards. They kind of stick right near it. But if they do kind of push over a couple spots on the day and they get over some negative positions where market makers start going with them, right? They pick up momentum, right? Watch the ball. Starts picking up some speed and then up it goes and it slows down as soon as it gets to where? A bunch of dealer longs, right? It just kind of fades out and you can see it on that price chart example. If you get like a kind of the cascade move where you cover a bunch of dealer short positions and you pick up that momentum, right? Directionally speaking, and there's people in the market that are helping it. Market makers are going to do the rest of the work. There's less people required because it picks up so much momentum through that area, right? I think this is really cool. I don't know what you guys think about it, but I love that thing. Like, I feel like that visual aid helps a lot of people. So that's the kind of stuff that we cover in those classes. So if you want to learn more, you know, like I said, I'll announce that. But yeah. Leto says, pour one out by typing out his name beside one of your arrows. I mean, I could do that. We'll see. I'm not sure if you guys can hear it, but there is some hardcore construction at my neighbor's house right now. They just built an addition and it's so freaking loud. I'm going to do Leto one more. There's a Leto arrow just for him. Leto is the guy from 10-4 that got me moved live. That's his firm that we highlighted the giveaway for yesterday. I know I'm really actually interested. I'll probably snag a couple of these funded seat accounts. If you guys aren't familiar with that, it's a prop firm I think is a little bit newer, but they have these unbelievable accounts where it's a daily payout with an end of day drawdown. And like the cap before they can ever move you live is stated as 100K, which means, you know, you could absolutely run it up on them before you ever have to worry about getting moved live. You know, I know a lot of other firms, like even me with Lucid, I got moved live after, 5 straight payouts, where I feel like if I did that with like a different firm that we've used in the past, it probably wouldn't have been so quick, right? So if you can find those opportunities to kind of milk the prop, so to speak, check out, funded seat and see what you can get. I know Jake had an announcement today as well. I wasn't able to catch his stream this morning, but check out funded seat. I think it's like 50% off right now. I would 100% snag one of those up. All right, guys, keep in mind, unfortunately, because of our kind of stream issues early, I probably didn't get through as much as I wanted to today, but we got about 20 minutes left, 15 minutes left, so I want to try to catch up on some of these questions here. Why every other day we get 20-point SPX dump 15 seconds before the close, Randy asked. So yesterday's a great example, right? Yesterday, we'll go back to cash, right? Cash session. I was in a very similar position to today, but it was centered at like 75.45, so right here. So yesterday we were just doing exactly what I would have hoped, right? Just grinding and chopping straight into my strike. And in the last 5 minutes, you got this big flush. Part of the reason for that was positioning based, right? We were still in negative gamma. We were kind of lucky to be holding the way that we were positionally speaking. But whenever you have this last 10 minutes in the market, it's called like the market on close, like the MOC, right? There's big orders flying around. You have more volume in the last 10 minutes than you do like the previous 4 hours, right? You've got the opening hour of the market where the most volume's traded, and then you got the last little bit of the day. And in that, things are shifting around, right? People are rolling orders from today or tomorrow out into the next week or the next month or whatever. So the totals are huge and they can be really outsized. And if it's in the right environment like yesterday, where we kind of had some big red bars right underneath us while we were chopping into the close, right? If you get a strong sell, it gets exacerbated. So you have those moments. It's not all the time, but when, again, we are in a broadly negative gamma environment, which expands on those moves when they happen, you can get those kinds of things into the close. That could have just as easily ripped higher, by the way. But that's why like that whole thing about the closer you are to expiring, the more impactful moves are into those positions that can have different reactions or outsized reactions and influences. So Zay said, would you expect price to flip over that strike that's currently on top to keep on magnetizing towards the big green bars? Yeah, I think like this is our kind of resistance, like that's selling against us until we're on the other side of it. The problem is whatever momentum you would get from covering that strike is also immediately slowed down by the fact market makers are selling all of these positions, right? So it's that whole kind of goofy thing that it's really hard for people to get their heads around. Every 5-minute bar from here that gets me closer to this blue line is making this more influential and this more influential and this more influential, right? So this is buying and supporting me passively. If somebody else shows up in the market and bids me up to here, they've got to have enough juice to get over the futures this market maker is selling and this one is selling, right? Because as I would look at it less as this idea that at that strike only, do they start selling or buying futures, right? It's the area, the direction of travel for us. All these bars represent are the positions, but the influence of how market makers react in those areas is more of like a band, right? As I get closer to something, they're starting to sell. The closer I get to it, the more selling they're doing or buying, right? So that is what makes that influence kind of more keenly felt the closer you get to those places. But as we move directionally, gamma is the rate of change, right? The speed with which something is starting to move or not. So, yeah. Starting to see the vision. Awesome. Why would you not short at the high of day earlier versus the butterfly? Jonas, because this is a great question. He asked, why did you not short as opposed to putting the fly on at the high of the day? Part of the reason is I wanted to have some coverage where if we didn't actually sell through this strike, the shape of it is pointing me back to that same place I wanted to short to anyway. So it's kind of that bet that we don't fully sell off. And is again, I bank on the range. Even if we would have held right here and then bounced back up to the top again and failed again and come back down to it, I'd make the same amount of money at the end of the day as if we sold and then bounced back up to it, right? So that's a good question, but I just wanted that exposure to time. If we actually got a range day and we just chopped, a fly is the best way to do that. Talk about the GEX levels for VIX. I never see you checking those on stream. Because I don't take the time to put this indicator on the VIX chart to show the VIX positions, because I just look at the platform for that. But it behaves the same way. If there's a bunch of red bars on VIX and it's pointing me up, I know that if we get some selling pressure in a normal environment, as volatility expands and VIX, has to get hedged, they're going to bid it up to that next kind of balance spot. So, slow to apply all this, but it's making sense. Scared to start applying it, but got to go for it. The more I get cucked by individual names, the more this makes sense. Give more of an edge. I agree, Bor. You've been in those classes. You get it. Write a book, bro. Holy shit, no disrespect. Not me, man. I can talk, but I'm not going to write. The classes are actually hosted on a Zoom. So you register through a WAP link, and then I send a Zoom out, and it's recorded, and we share the recordings, and then you get some materials at the end. But again, guys, I'll talk more about that when I pick the date, but I think it's going to be either next like Wednesday night or the following week. Might just give it 2 weeks and do it then. Unless weekends work better for somebody, but we'll see. I kind of just want to do one day. Because it's getting closer to the school year for my kids. There's only so much time. I want to try to take more advantage of the weekends because I work full time, and then I do this streaming thing too. So I'm in the Discord, planning to do a group class soon when schedules align. We will see you there, Chris. Banner said you should make a Discord to communicate these lessons and share information about Gamma. It just helps organize everything. Yeah, I think that's when I do the one-on-ones, like you get more targeted material. Of the group classes, I gave you guys a cheat sheet. There's something there, but there's only so much that you can document, right? A lot of the stuff is conditional. You have to see it on a chart. And that's where I think kind of as we move forward and do more of those group classes, we have this every day, right? This is free on stream. Free every day. You guys now have a catalog going all the way back to April of me talking with this strategy and this data and a pre-market plan, more than likely on Instagram or YouTube, whatever, before those kind of moved into the Discord exclusively. You have that record of truth. You have me talking about every single day going back months. So you don't, there's a treasure trove of that information. Yes, you have to watch it, but it's a lot easier to hear this and see it as opposed to reading it. So, Frankie, what did you retract? You said nice. I hope it was not something negative. That's probably when I was showing that boulder idea. But the physics of it were actually, it's really interesting. Like it's based on the dynamics of pulling together charm, Vanna, Gamma, and active flow, and just saying like, hey, based on these things, this is how this boulder would move through these positions, or what overwhelms the other in certain circumstances. So got to save a little something for the classes, but I just wanted to share it with you guys that, like, if you think about it that way, visually speaking, when we look at these shapes, it hopefully informs that idea of like why we tend to go back to a place. So can't hear. Hopefully you guys can hear me. What's wrong with going live is not the same as sin fund. There's nothing wrong with it. I like going live because it means I can get paid whenever I want. So that is the goal, guys. If you want to not have trading rules, that's why I think a lot of people like the daily accounts, like this funded seat or the take profit trader accounts, right? Is if you have less getting in the way of you having a good trade and then paying yourself immediately, right? That's the goal of moving live. You have somebody funding you to do that. They get a little bit of your profit, but you've proven that you can be an effective trader, and then you get to reap the rewards. So everybody should be trying to get moved live, really. It's one thing to like milk the props and play the game and do this and that, but like think if you could just have a great trade and then you immediately take the money out. You don't have to wait for X amount of days. You don't have to worry about blowing up. The money goes right back into your account, right? That's why I trade SPX so much, right? I like getting paid tomorrow morning and say, hey, any profit over $10,000, right into my bank account. And then I start the day with a fresh, clean slate, and on we go. Do I look at the small positions being tested before I decide how many times does a level get tested before going long or short? A lot of the time I don't care about time or touches. I just say, hey, based on everything that I've seen and what I know in this profile, I'm going to place this with this amount of stop based on the structure. And if they're going to prove me wrong, prove me wrong. But I'm taking this trade. I've plunked down my bet on the probabilities. That's all you can do, right? There's just more probability edge in this because it's something in fact, right? I'm basing it on data. Something does exist in a place. It is true. It is registered with the exchange. I can see it there. It's real. It's not being spoofed, right? And that's what gives you the edge if you're using this. Higher probability. No guarantees, obviously, but the probability is more for you than against you. Profile indicator I have in the chart, MC, is a custom indicator, but if you want an indicator like this, I can tell you how to build one. The problem is if you don't pay for the data to go into it, it's not going to show you anything. So use a platform. I prefer VS3D. And if you want to know more about it, I hope to have more to entice you to do so here very soon. For newbies, do you recommend to trade in kill zones or outside to build confidence? I have no idea what a kill zone is. That sounds like a made up term to me, Peter. So I can't comment on that. That just sounds goofy. If they're selling around the low, why doesn't the price just drop through? Because until they're through it, market makers are technically buying futures. So unless you force their reaction to change relative to that position, they are going to be buying on this side of it until they have to sell. And they don't have to sell until they are through the other side of it, right? And that relationship changes. That's why the red positions are the momentum positions, right? They either expand the momentum or they keep the current one. So good question though. You use the VIX index, not futures. I look at the whole term structure, Chris, but cash VIX is a 30-day strip of SPX, so it's probably the most directly relevant. But I look at the full VIX term structure and how out of whack things are for like my longer term view or like the week ahead or month ahead. But I do look at the futures as well. Does anyone at your work know you stream during the middle of the day? God, I hope not, or I probably won't be doing it anymore. So fingers crossed. Gamma levels are becoming my higher time frame forecast and PA for execution. You know my thoughts, Adam. That is why I do what I do. So big edge. Just got here. Watch you every day, but I have a question. The large gamma at 77.25 should be support, and we should bounce off of it into the large gamma at 77.50. Am I correct in this thinking? So the thing about it is it's supportive as long as you're over it, right? And it's less about support. It's more about liquidity. So the idea is if they are slowing price down directionally as we approach that, whether from above or below, right? The bigger the position, the bigger that potential. So like now, to whoever is just asking about us moving into that strike, if we sell through that, if we sold through that strike, we should be getting up, picking up momentum. But the problem is we have all the positioning below that is buffering that. That is, as we get closer to these other positions, they're buying futures. So if you don't have enough active flow to overwhelm the amount of futures market makers are buying at this position, they aren't going to turn and start selling until you're through the other side of it, until that relationship changes, right? So that's like when we were looking at that little physics video I made for you guys with the boulder. You can roll that boulder down the hill, but if you can't get up and over this and fall out the other side, they're going to just buffer you back to another balance, right? And again, these positions are static. In the actual platform, the VS3D platform, these are updating every 10 minutes. I tend to look at the pre-market structure and see how much we're respecting those positions, how much they've held their value or changed over the intraday period to see how much or how little they're influencing things from here. But again, it's really hard for me, given what we talked about before, to see a big sell-off coming unless certain things start happening, because there's only so much time between us and the finish line. And unless we're going to sell through the entire range that we rallied up from on Tuesday, and there's some big catalyst and big volatility thing that's going to work against the Vanna environment we're in, which impacts volatility, right? We're not going to get the big cascade unless it's a holy shit amount of selling. So if that kind of active flow doesn't come in, the base case is to just drift back closer to this area and this position and finish somewhere in this box. But if we do get continued selling, I don't know that we get materially lower than like this spot, because again, if you're not under all of these positions, they're trying to find a balance for you, right? If you're not under these positions, you're probably going to come back to here. But if you get back to here and someone pushes you over this, you're going to obviously come back to this balance. So the map starts making sense the more you guys look at this. If I had to pick one, who would you go with? Tradeify Select or Lucid Flex? I think they both have their benefits. Tradeify Select, you can at least choose if you want a daily payout option. I went live with the Lucid Flex accounts. I love the Lucid Flex accounts. I don't know why, but like I had good luck with those. So no matter what you do, there's a really great opportunity. Just make sure you use code RAKE. I meant we can't hear the construction next door. Oh, thank God. Do I use this strategy with anything else like price action, ICT, or technical analysis? No, that's a great question. And shit. Okay. Christian, if you're watching, sorry, dude, just give me 1 minute to answer this question. Basically, I don't use any other strategy. I appreciate price action. I appreciate bar by bar. But what you come to find once you start leveraging this is that this is your map for the day. Rarely does something here not have influence, right? You don't see that relationship. So when you look at these positions and this is your map on the day, it tells you like what falls outside of the expected range, right? What would have to happen? What would be the thing that would make that possible? That goes counter to the positioning framework. The thing that I always try to tell people is everybody that buys or sells an option is essentially placing their bet on the day. That bet can be a directional trade. It can be a hedge. You don't need to know why. You just need to know they're placing their bet. They're putting their money into place, and market makers are holding that bet. It's like going to the casino, right? The house always wins to a certain extent over the long term. The difference between the casino and the market maker is the casino's trying to make money because they know the odds. Market makers aren't making money on direction. They're making money on the spread. They're making these big transactions. Why do you think they're holding billions of dollars of options? Because they're trading all of this activity. They're basically a liquidity provider to the market. They're making their money on the spread, the difference between this and this at this time and this time. But the only way they can do that is if they remain neutral as long as they hold that position. That's why they have to buy futures, to hedge the position they hold. So if the market goes up, they have to hedge it a certain way. If it goes down, they have to hedge it a certain way. If the market goes down, that changes how the volatility impacts that option. So now they're trading not just the direction, but the volatility. And because time is constant, right? The blue line is our finish line. As we get closer to the finish line, that is changing the option they hold all day long on top of what's happening with direction and volatility. So all three of those things, the market maker has to do something. So if you know where they have to do it and you know how they're holding the option, which means you know what they have to do, you know all the conditions that make something higher probability versus lower probability. So once you get this in your head and you basically are handed a map for the day and say, most people place their bets here, here's what gets most of those people paid, here's what stands in their way, then you look at it and say, okay, what am I seeing? What's the highest probability outcome from here, given what I know? And you make your bet. You're still making a bet. There are no guarantees in the market. But once you start doing this, I would challenge anybody to say there is not a more direct through line between what you see here and what price ends up doing, right? The only thing you can't account for is the broader market. But if you essentially know like the path that they are walking down and you get to decide how much more likely are they to go left as opposed to right when they hit a fork in the road, that is more edge than somebody who's like, I don't know, I'm going to flip a coin, right? You're flipping a coin, but you're flipping a coin that's got a little more weight to one side than the other, right? How many times have you flipped a coin in your life where you're like, if I just do this and I flick it this way, I'm going to land it on heads 9 out of 10 times, right? If you have that edge and you have something to back that up that's more material than feel, right? You're basing it off some kind of data, you have an edge. It's like someone counting cards, right? They're playing the probabilities. They're going from a 50-50 to like a 55-45 or something, right? So like that's maybe the best way to look at this is it's not a guarantee. It's not 100% of the time, but if you're placing your bet at the right spot at a higher probability area, if you're doing something else that's already successful, this is like that confluence layer to be like, oh, this is even stronger. This is definitely an A++ setup or whatever. So no, Mitch is not deciding that. Mitch actually has 3 conference calls this afternoon, so Mitch needs to get out. So that's 7 minutes. That is 67 minutes, not 90, Ron. So fuck you, dude. Just kidding. Yeah. So I wish I could answer more questions. I think I got them all covered. And go from there. Yeah, I can't talk on gold. Can you review end of day recap you provided in Discord? Hellboy. So really quick, if you guys are in the Discord and I do these end of day recaps, that's basically like, here was the AI probability based read of the overall positioning of like, given everything we knew, was it a box day? Was it a trend day? Was it a break and come back, like a snap the rubber band, and then you came back to a balance kind of day? We probed the end of the range and came back. There's these probability weightings based on the positioning and everything that it does at the pre-market. And then the end of day is a, like, where did we go? Which probability won out is all that that's showing. So, yeah. And Zach, hit me up on Instagram. Or hit me up on the Watt page, just like join the free Watt page and you can message me there. So if you guys have those questions, again, I don't want to like get into the weeds on the group classes and all that, but just know I'm going to schedule one. I'll announce it. You guys can hit the wait list and we'll get everybody in there and share the materials. And I've improved it. Everyone will get the slides. They'll get the recording, blah, blah, blah. So yes, that will be coming, but it's not going to be for probably another week or maybe 2 weeks, depending on how much people want to get into there. So, don't ask me questions when I say I'm leaving, Zach. You should know better. You're in the Discord. You can ask me there. All right. Love you guys. Thank you so much. Have a good rest of the afternoon. Good luck to Christian. Hopefully the OBS issues are handled and we don't have any of that tomorrow. But take care, guys. Be safe and see what we get tomorrow. We'll see you on stream. Make sure to watch everybody else, though. All right. Love you. Bye.
What's up? What's up? What's up? All right. Getting situated here. How's everyone doing, chat? How's everyone doing? Let's go. Adam, what's up, Adam Preppy? What's up? You guys catch anything this morning? Adrian, brother, I did. Yes, I want to talk. I want to talk about that here in a bit. I did take that first trade, but today was honestly for me a very sloppy day. I mismanaged my trade, the first trade, and I'll break it down right now exactly what I did. But I'm not happy with today's execution. Didn't go on tilt, which is always a good thing. But I think I could have managed today a lot better. Yo, Polar Bear, what's up, Polar Bear? What's up, brother, man? My guy, Warren, what's up, Warren? Only thing I caught was a blown account last night trying to sell Asia. Trying to trade Asia? Look. Well, shit, I hope you caught something this morning yeah, you'll bounce back, though. Still in shorts. Caught something nice at, I caught something nice at today, Christian. Fuck yeah, Jimbo. Dang, GG, Polar Bear. I caught feelings for you. What? Feelings for me, brother. Whoa, what's going on here? Took a long scalp ES on Mitch's stream. That's it for me. Fuck yeah, Adam. Hell yeah. Caught gold about an hour and a half ago. Took a long at gold. GC. I think GC yesterday. I haven't even opened it today. Which, okay, kind of trading similar to how NQ traded yesterday, which we broke over the trend bar's high and just kind of ranging. Fire. Would like your input on gold too if you have the chance. I got you, Warren. I got you. Give me 1 second. I'll break down my trades that I took this morning, and I'll break down gold here in a minute. If I forget, just remind me, Warren. But I got you. Disciplined trader, what's up? Hello. W risk management. Yeah, that's for me. I'm very happy, but I'd be sitting here lying to you if I didn't say today was a frustrating one of those sessions that just fucking, honestly, quite frankly, pissed me off. I was a little bit frustrated. First time on your stream, usually on Ron G's stream. Fuck yeah, disciplined trader. Hell yeah, welcome in. Again, my name is Christian Lomeli, and yeah, trade PM session. Predominantly, my bread and butter is AM session, but PM session is also what I trade. Let's see. Now I hesitated sadly, but I will bounce back. Yeah, you got this, Polar Bear. Caught three winning thoughts, but trades, I'm assuming, click buy late, and the other two coworkers interpreted while I was trying to get in. Interrupted. Fuck yeah, that fucking sucks. Took one Jew to swing off the 4-hour, most free market high though. Got you, Lomeli the GOAT. My guy, Ron G the GOAT. What's up, Ron G? Fucking yeah, let's get straight into it. Hopped on to my favorite out, my guy, my girl Nicole. What's up, Nicole? Yeah, so today's trade, I had levels that let's remove everything. I had levels in mind, right? Which was the CE of the let's change this to blue dotted, or actually line. It was the CE of the fair value gap, right? It was the midway point of the fair value gap, and we had an invert. We had the daily change in state at that level, and we also had the 4-hour CE, right? Which is again the midway point. We'll change that one to, let's do purple. The midway point of that fair value gap, right? So for me, coming into the morning, ES tapped into the daily fair value gap, which is this line here. And NQ had traded down lower, and typically this is what happened. I'm not a big fan of trying to trade counter trend the 5 and 15 minute, but given how this 5 minute was closing and we had reacted off of my essentially levels, ES again took out prior day lows, which was the daily gap entry, Asia lows. After Asia and London were pretty much range bound, we left behind a series of 2 bearish inverts, right? Traded above the opening print. And so yeah, at this point I was like, okay, this isn't my typical entry, but I do like the setup that we're getting, right? I long there, my stop wasn't even at the low. I set my stop like at 270, I remember. Let's say it was there, right? In my head, I'm like, okay, I'll go break even right away. And go break even right away, targeting London highs, which is right underneath the new day opening gap for about a 3-hour trade. I quite frankly fumbled this trade. I saw how ES was rejecting the new day opening gap. Midway through this trade, I realized it just wasn't my entry model. I'm like, okay, I'm up about 1R. Let me just take it, right? Let me just get out of this trade that I'm typically not. I typically don't take this trade. I rather wait for the 5 and 15 to be aligned and then zoom into the 1 minute. So with that in mind, I then saw this trade continue, right? Full TP was Asia highs. If we zoom out on the hourly, we had these nice relative equal high, or not relative equal high, low resistance liquidity run here through London and Asia highs. So coming into the day, I created a game plan, right? Meaning if we react off these levels, I can see Asia highs getting taken, right? So that was the game plan. The first initial entry was the trade that fucking was beautiful. It played out, but I fumbled the trade, right? So that was the initial start of my frustration, right? We took out London highs. I'm like, fuck. At this point, I'm like, ah, shit, I could have been done 30, 40 minutes into market. I'm like, okay, whatever. Waited. We tapped at this point into a 15-minute gap entry, and took this invert, which this trade ended up being a loser. Stop at the low. I was targeting Asia highs. Yeah, Asia highs for about a 1.5. So at this point, I took a loss pretty much immediately. Again, it was a 15-minute gap entry. It was roughly around the new day opening gap. Wasn't over it. Was anticipating it to trade back over it. Meanwhile, at this time, ES wasn't really doing anything. It was just stuck in the range between Asia and London, which on honestly, I kind of ignored. I wouldn't say I was on, by no means was I on tilt. I was frustrated at the fact that I got into a trade. I created a game plan. I essentially followed the game plan, but midway through the trade, I kind of psyched myself out. I'm like, I shouldn't really be in this trade. Let me just get out. Although the management of the trade had already played out. I moved to break even after the internal high got taken, which was a very tight stop, which is part of the reason why I didn't even have the stop all the way down here. Yeah, at that point, at this displacement candle, I moved to break even, psyched myself out, took this trade, took a loss. So I'm essentially back down, pretty much break even. I was slight green, nothing crazy. I was basically break even. And I think today's session is one of those that I kind of wanted to, I went on a long walk and I kind of wanted to highlight on stream, which is everything I wanted to see happened, right? I read the market pretty nicely today, right? But my execution was just trash. Like at this point, I should have been up 4R, right? Even if I took it at the first TP, which was, I think 3R, whatever. 3R. But instead, I'm flat on the day, and I missed the whole move, and it just moved without me, right? So at that point, I'm like, fuck. Like, I was genuinely frustrated, right? I stepped away for literally a minute and came back to my desk. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna give myself one shot. Worst case scenario, I am down 1 hour on the session. I just have to lock it in. Otherwise, this is gonna go. There's a potential of me going on tilt. I just kind of try to talk to myself and try to and again, this is just me being 100% honest. Try to talk to myself and understand where I am mentally, right? If there's a slight chance of me going on tilt, I try to stop myself before I even get there, right? So in this case, I'm like, okay, am I okay walking away -1 hour on a day like today? And if I kind of have a slight hesitation, I'm like, all right, this could be bad. I just simply try to not do anything else. But in this case, I was okay. I was frustrated, not to the point of tilt. So I decided to try once again, and I took this invert. Once that first 1 minute invert, bearish gap went invert. I had to stop at the 1 minute swing low. And targeting the same level, right? And that one ended up playing out, and I immediately called it a session. I hit TP here. I think MNQ, or not, I know MNQ hit TP or hit 680 at this level. So I took my exit there. I was up a little bit under 2R for the morning, but it was one of those sessions where I just wasn't, I don't know what it was, whether it was, I went through the same morning routine. I was just a little antsy. Like I just was a little too trigger happy, per se, if you want to call it, right? Overall, it was a decent day. Execution wise, I think it was on the lower side on my end. I think the best case scenario should have been either only taking these 2 trades and avoiding this one, given it wasn't usually what I take, right? And even if I did, I think part of the reason why what frustrated me the most was the fact that I micromanaged it and didn't let it play out after creating a plan for it, understanding why I was taking it, and just getting in the way of it, right? I think that's in the initial stages, that was my biggest issue, which was micromanaging a planned trade because of emotions going on intraday, right? So that's what frustrated me. But overall, it was an amazing day, great day, good level of interest that I kind of was looking at, and good move towards the draw, right? For, in this instance, it was London highs, and then it was Asia highs. Asia highs being the main objective, which was a 680-ish level, which was also in premium of the range, right? So let's see, premium of the range being swing high to low. It was a bearish 4-hour gap entry, which was premium of the range, which was that level. And yeah, it was also Asia high. So it was clean draws, clean move that we got to that level. But again, could have, although I'm green, I'm not necessarily happy with my execution. Now fast forward to, so yeah, those were the, I guess, what was it? 3 takes, right? 3 takes for the session. Now fast forward to PM. I have yet to create a game plan, right? So, okay, let me catch up on chat. Hello, homie. Oh, that's wrong. What's up? What's up? What up? What up? What up? Ron the GOAT. There we go. Yeah, closing early pisses me off too. Yeah, it's something I try not to do, but today was a day where it just happened, right? This was, I had drawn out discount of the range, which we're currently in. What's good, Lomeli? What's up? What's up, stock market scientist? I know you banked on your swing. Yeah, I banked on my SPY calls, which I closed out yesterday at basically market open. Yeah, so I banked nicely. The fund settled today. I'll probably withdraw after stream. And yeah, the QQQ calls, however, I'm probably around break even right now from being up 200% yesterday at the peak. I am break even on those, which again, I think part of me on my walk, I was kind of thinking about this. Part of my frustration came from maybe not locking in the full profits on everything, right? The whole position, given how much we had moved. And maybe that perhaps influenced my my decision making today. And all this kind of played a role, given that I was floating nice profits, and I kind of I'm still in the green on, even if these go to zero, I'm still profiting, right? Which is good. But I think part of the frustration came from that, right? So regardless, I still banked, I still made money. A nice return. Now those QQQs are hovering around flat, which again, which was kind of the plan, but I think that it just kind of started this kind of downward spiral that in the morning I was a little bit more, I think that's what it caused me to be a little bit more antsy, which after close yesterday, or not after close, after getting close to the TP, I kind of asked myself yesterday, which again, the same level that I had for targets were the 94, which we technically haven't hit. It was the triple top essentially here on NQ. I asked myself, I'm like, okay, if we get a pullback, which I think we need, I think should be healthy for NQ, especially on the daily. If we get a pullback, would I be okay with holding for the next 2 days and seeing the percentage fluctuate on the remaining QQQ position? And at the moment, the answer was yes, right? Now that we're getting that, and quite frankly, we still look good for slightly more upside. But I think that I should have covered some of the QQQ position. Overall, I covered about 40% of my entire position. Yeah, about 40%, which I think I should have covered a little bit closer to like maybe 70%, 75%. But it's all hindsight bias. It is what it is. But even then, with covering 40% of the position, I made decent money, right? Yeah, I asked myself those questions, and at the time, the answer was yes. Going into today, I'm like, fuck, I should have covered the whole thing. But it is what it is. I'm pretty sure, hindsight bias. I try to ask myself, or my brother kind of told me this yesterday, which kind of hit for me. He's like, minimize the, because I was kind of talking to Silver. I'm like, fuck, should I close or should I let this run? And he said something that kind of stuck with me, which was minimize the, actually, I think he texted it to me too later on. Huh. Just got a random Zelle from somebody. Let me see. He said, minimize the experience of regret. Sorry, I had to look back at the message because I wrote it down. Minimize the experience of regret. So in my head, I'm like, would I regret more these contracts going to zero, or me missing out on a potential extra X amount of money, because I do see the move happening, right? So in my head, I'm like, okay, if these go to 0, I'll still profit a good, decent amount. Which is, that's worst case scenario. Best case scenario, I made this much amount. And what side would I rather be on, right? And so at the moment, I'm like, okay, I'd rather capture the move that I was waiting for, that I planned for, in spite of missing out on what's currently unrealized, right? Which what was currently unrealized, again, gave some of that back in this pullback. And if it doesn't, it's still, these QQQ contracts expire next Friday, so we'll see how they play out, right? But yeah, if I say I love Lomeli's voice, does that make me gay? Sam? Nah, brother, it's all bro love. Sam Cena, yes, but it's okay. I long that 15-minute candle at around 7 a.m. Eastern. W transparency. Fuck yeah, appreciate it, brother. Hi, guy. What's up? What's up, Jay? Do you think that second trade was avoidable, or did it completely align for you? The second trade, which was here. No, yeah, here. I think it aligned. Again, I still have yet to really review, but it aligned. It fit everything, right? The only thing that I try to take little mental notes after the trade plays out, and see like, okay, what was not aligning, right? So in this case, the prior 15-minute bar failed to close above the last 15-minute bar, right? And that at that time, look how our ES was trading. ES was not fluid. It was in a range at the lower end of the range for that, right? It was trading, it's essentially trading bearish, delivering bearish on the hourly, on the 15-minute. Although we are in a higher time frame area of interest, right? So for me, I think that it was valid, right? But the only thing that would make this a lower quality setup is how ES was acting. ES was more range bound. We traded up to London highs, rejected. So yeah, how we react off of swing highs and lows tells you something, right? And then the candle closure on the 15 minutes. So that's about the only thing I think that was missing on this trade, was not paying attention to context on ES. Other than that, entry model was fine. Area of interest was fine. We were in discount of the range, OTE of this range, 5-minute fair value gap, 15-minute fair value gap. We got to change the state on the hourly. Trading slightly over the new day opening gap, 1-minute invert after taking out a swing low, internal swing low. Everything was fine. I think it fit my criteria. Now this trade, I think if I were to go back, I'd set the stop at the underneath prior day lows, which was 1.4, about the same thing, or half an R more. I would, yeah, just set the stop at the low. And yeah, I think both trades were valid. I think the second trade, or the last trade, however, that played out, I think the stop should have been slightly wider. Minimum there. Will we range till close? Leave. I'll break that down here in a bit. Let me just finish up with chat. Ride guy, the fly guy. What's up, brother? Is it crazy to think that ES will fill the gap before the new all-time highs? What gap? The daily gap or the what gap are you talking about? On what time frame? Yeah, that's what on the Qs. I mean, I'm still very bullish on the overall market. I think that we're simply getting a daily pullback. yeah, I'm still very bullish for the coming weeks on Qs, which if you literally just look at QQQ here, right, we range for a while. We range for a while. Again, so I got to swing low. You guys know the whole context on NQ. We're displacing higher. I wouldn't be surprised if we do something like that on the daily, right? But again, another thing I wouldn't be surprised for is if we just kind of consolidate, come back lower for a couple days to week or weeks, and then make the move to the upside again. But ideally, with this sort of displacement, what I'd want to see is just more so of a continuation. So far, yeah, so long we kind of close on the upper towards the opening print here on this Thursday's candle or today's candle. I think we should see more upside coming into tomorrow and the following week, right? Let me catch up here. Do a couple more minutes of catching up, and then I'll start with price. You can never be mad as long as you covered half. Yeah, brother. Honestly, and that half covered was yeah, paid for this current position. Yeah, I'm chilling. It was just more so, again, seeing those unrealized profits and kind of thinking about them. I'm like, oh shit, this should have covered. Hell yeah, love you, Lomeli. No homo. My guy, Sam, appreciate you, brother. Praga, what's up, Armin? Why do these streams always turn into Lomeli and Mitch getting asked about their face and voice? Oh, shit. Nah, seriously, what the fuck? Nah, I don't mind. I don't care. We just got a live mini journaling session. Hell yeah. Honestly, to be honest, kind of what it was. Just me expressing kind of what I was feeling. And honestly, everything I said was 1,000% transparent. It's literally what I kind of was, what I'm thinking, which is what happened, which is the reality of trading. I think if I hop on here and say every day sunshine and rainbows, I'd be fucking lying to you, because it's not. Been a quick minute. How are you, Lomeli? Been doing good, brother. Aiden's a bot. Doing good. Doing good. All right. So now that we got that out the way, we got the breakdown. We got my my psychological thoughts here on the trade. Let's start breaking down price. Again, same idea that I had that I've been talking about for the last 3 weeks. Delivered off of fair value gap on the monthly. Weekly, same thing. Fair value gap inside of monthly fair value gap. Last week's bar closed above the week before's body. Candle in general. Took swing SPY QQQ calls over the weekend on Friday. Banked on some. Still holding more. So I'm still bullish bias. The same bias that I had, or the same draw that I had, which were these relative equal highs on NQ, have not been taken yet. So I think that's still the draw for me. Which is again now a quadruple top, if that's even a term. There's 4 tops. I love this. The displacement on the daily is I love it still. I love it for the upside. We've been trading for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The last 5 bars have just broken above prior bars high and continued. This is the first bar that we get a break below prior bars low. So we'll see how we close. Do we close above it? Do we close green? If we close green, this is looking amazing for not only tomorrow, but the coming week. If tomorrow we have, again, somewhat of a range session, I still hold through the weekend. If we gap up and then Monday continues the same bar, that wouldn't be far-fetched looking at how the weekly's been. Now, that is a little bit more aggressive than my initial thoughts on this move were, but again, just painting scenarios on what could happen, right? So looking into the fair value gap, right? We tap the CE of the fair value gap here, right? So we'll do daily FVG CE. We have an invert that I won't draw, but I'll just show you guys. We have a daily invert that we kind of came back to test. We have a daily change in state, which is here, right? Daily change in state. I'm gonna clean it up just for the sake of having a clean chart. So the daily, again, bullish so long we hold this general area is kind of how I came into the morning, and still holding that same thesis now. So again, so long we hold the bodies over that general area before close, I think tomorrow should be we should see more upside. Now 4-hour fair value gap CE. Right, the midway point of that 4-hour fair value gap is literally where we came back to test after displacement higher. This morning we traded back into premium of the range, right? Bearish 4-hour fair value gap, which yeah, that's what happened. These last 4-hour basically today's session has been closing around the 525 area, right? Meaning that we traded lower, the trade back higher, closed at that range, traded higher, came back lower, closed at the range, right? So we went from premium, the hourly, again, premium of the range, took out Asia highs, traded back lower. Where do we trade back into? Discount of the range, right? Or 50%. We trade into this fair value gap here. On the hourly, small fair value gap, but it's there, it's present. We got an hourly change in state. Meanwhile, we did get divergence here with NQ, right? This low and this low, right? There's divergence there. So we're holding next levels that I have up above. So long we hold, again, this general area or NQ swing low, I am still bullish. So again, next levels that I have, again, as you guys know, I have swing highs as levels, but also gap fills. So 4-hour gap fill, that's the first level. Hourly gap fills above it, right? And then of course that swing high that we created in the morning, right? So again, we traded back to discount. And then you take that even smaller leg, right? Where do we trade up to? Back to premium. Price is fractal, right? Premium. Now, if we take that even smaller leg, we traded back to discount, right? So if we are bullish, this swing low should hold, that swing low should hold, and this swing high should get taken. Otherwise, if we begin to take these lows, right, I would assume lower prices are ahead of us, right? Now, looking at how ES is trading currently, I'm liking this to the upside, but there's lack of displacement, and seeing how there's lack of displacement on, like, say, the 5-minute, 15-minute, and on the hourly, I don't like how we rejected Asia highs, came back lower, and closed how we did, while ES displaced lower, right? I would love to see the next 40 or so minutes kind of give us this invert, close above it, and in the meantime get some sort of displacement on NQ to the upside. That would be something I would love, not only for today, but to see potential continuation through Asia, London, and New York tomorrow. Let's see. So again, I'm creating kind of like this game plan here right now, seeing if there's any minute. So discount of the range here would have been, again, the 50%, slightly under that swing low. We have a small little 1-minute gap entry, which is here. So yeah, again, so long we hold these lows, I do see these highs get taken. But again, there's really no displacement. There's no speed with price. There's no eagerness to trade higher. Yes, it's trading lower after ranging, after NQ displaced higher through the morning. So I think that what's happening now is kind of, it's healthy given how we displaced on the daily for essentially 2 days, the last 2 days, right? And having yesterday be some sort of pullback, today kind of like this absorption or pause type of day going into tomorrow, and more than anything going into next week could set up a nice setup for the coming week. So did I want this to happen here? No, I kind of wanted this to happen over here, over that exact level that I was targeting, but we're getting it below, which is okay still. But you guys have to understand, looking at context, right? Looking at context, we're essentially delivering bearish on the 4-hour currently. Got a change in state, right? Closed below that up candle, traded lower, traded back up higher, bearish fair value gap, got rejected, right? Meanwhile, we are trading in a bullish higher time frame profile, but the intraday profile on both assets are kind of rejecting bearish PD arrays. In this case, again, 4-hour bearish fair value gap, kind of range ugly wicky action here on the 4-hour. Meanwhile, the 4-hour on ES, again, it's been very it's more there's relative weakness against NQ, right? So ideally, what I would love to see from price today is we see a bearish hourly invert at 12, or in general just displacement, and we start to see NQ kind of displace higher, trade higher, and see some sort of entry as a potential higher low, right? Kind of what I'm thinking here. But if we just reject the gap here, if we reject the gap here and then we start trading past these lows, right? Like I mentioned, that swing low, I wouldn't be surprised if we see lower prices, although my higher time frame draw is bullish. So yeah, that's kind of my overall idea coming into the day. Now, again, would I anticipate displacive action today for the last 2 hours of market open? I don't know. I don't think we do, given how price has been the last 4 hours, or the last 2 4-hour candles, right? The last 2 4-hour candles, let me remove that, have been very interesting. Traded lower just to trade higher, closed at this general area, 520, 530, let's call it, higher, traded back lower, closed around the same area. Meanwhile, NQ had more of a, again, relative weakness. I'm kind of repeating myself a little bit over and over again, but yeah, let's see what we get. I would love to see this hold, but if we displace lower, look for shorts. But for now, still long. Everything's pointing to the upside. Now, I just simply want to see more of a displacement. What was that 1 minute candle, chat? Did some news come out, chat? Did news come out? Yo, primo, what's up, Alex? Good evening, brother. Doing good, my guy. Honestly, good shit. Good thing you sold yesterday, bro. Because I bought a second before. Both of news, both of these nuts. Nah, regardless, Alex, I banked. Steak for show. Yeah, that for sure, G. Saturday. Or even Friday. Tomorrow afternoon. What was your source to learn ICT? Honestly, just YouTube, and I would tune into ICT himself, like the videos. Took an extensive amount of notes on my own, and yeah. And then just trial and error, just showing up and doing it myself. Practice, right? Practice, showing up. I would say that was majority of it, but everything came mainly from YouTube. Walter, Bloomberg news on X hit at that time. What were the news? Just popping in to say my arrows don't lie. Man, the accuracy, Mitch. Any gold analysis? Let's see, GC. I think let me see. I got you, brother. Won't forget. I think similar to NQ, we're still delivering bearish, but we are in a monthly bearish gap. We're in a monthly bearish gap inside a bullish monthly gap. Weekly, daily. Daily just took out a swing high inside a monthly bearish gap. 4 hour still bullish. Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily be looking for shorts on gold for sure. I think if we can gap over this bearish gap, or not gap over, trade over this bearish gap, I wouldn't be surprised if we hit Asia highs. Took out London lows. 4 hour closed is closing very good, respecting the 4 hour gap that took out the swing high. Yeah, I think similar to NQ. I think we perhaps just range, just for tomorrow to get maybe a pullback and then continuation. Yeah, that move was out of this tight little range. And again, I think I would get back to being very bullish on the monthly if we can invert this monthly bearish gap. Right? Yeah, overall higher time frame, I'm a little bit on pause, right? I want to see a little bit more from price. Do we reject this or do we trade above it? Intraday, similar thesis. We're in this weird range, but again, if we can invert this bearish gap, I do see higher prices into London highs and Asia highs on the hourly. Let's see what's happening here. Let's see if we get speed through London, or sorry, through New York session here after whatever this was. No hate whatsoever. What was the last W trade in PM session? It was on it was on Tuesday. So Monday was cash, I believe. Yeah, so only have been taking one trade this week, which I believe was either Tuesday or yesterday. I forgot. Yeah, fucking broke the streak one of those days. NQ says, do not touch me, bro. Bro, literally. Show them the 1 day time frame when we entered the chat. When we entered that, the daily. We entered literally here on those calls, man. Again, all I really want to see from NQ today is us close green today. If we can close green, I think tomorrow and maybe not tomorrow, maybe tomorrow we still digest, but going into next week, I wouldn't be surprised if we get that sort of like buy trigger, break over prior week's high, and get another similar bar to what we had. Again, that's a little bit more far-fetched, and maybe a little bit biased given I am in call still, but I'm loving this setup. And we haven't hit my overall objective, which was, let's call it 30,100. We haven't hit 30,100 just yet, so I'm still very much bullish. Yeah, for me to try to take something, I want to see speed from price. Speed from price, and these swing lows here should hold if we are bullish. Otherwise, we'll keep seeing sort of this slower, sloppier action, right? Compare speed on price from this morning, right? Even on the 1 minute. Let's look at it on the 1 minute. This is morning's action, AM, versus right now, right? More overlapping, less displacive than something like AM, which is why it makes it easier to trade AM given how displacive and how fluid price is. I was thinking of slapping on some longs literally just for stream. I kind of stopped myself. Slapping some longs, stop at the swing low, targeting high of day. Perhaps go and break even at these swing highs here. But no. Let's just follow the system here. Love that you show the real side of trading as well. Nothing but respect. My guy, appreciate it, brother. Morning wood. Morning wood with Nick. Appreciate it, brother. Yeah, it was a tough month for PM July. Again, part of it for the first week and a half-ish or so was market conditions, but then afterwards it started just being me. I kind of started psyching myself out of good trades. I started taking, honestly, in my opinion, bad trades, and kind of in this weird rut, right? Mainly because of stream. I kind of was like, all right, today's the day where I don't take a loss on stream. And, you know, the more I think about something, the more I was kind of, in a way, manifesting that every single day. But, yeah, I think hopefully we're back. Just watching, not taking anything this PM. Yeah, that's smart. Honestly, very smart. For now, again, I would anticipate higher prices here, but I want to see speed. For now, we're quite not getting that. Again, looking at the 4 hour, look at the last two 4 hour candles. Right? Hourly, everything's pointing to the upside for me. Now I just want to see displacement. I want to see displacement. I want to see speed. I want to see aggression towards draw to then give me conviction. This overlapping up and down action is not my favorite. Respecting a fair value gap. Let's see if we respect. How's ES doing here? We'll see how ES closes here in the next 30 minutes. This should be interesting. You will hit your TP tomorrow. Ahmad, hopefully. That's what I'm anticipating from price, but yeah, the only thing I regret is instead of taking off around 40, I should have taken off around 70. We are dead in the middle of a range. Yes, intraday we are. And I think it's because of what we're kind of setting up on the daily. If the daily closes anywhere near with how it's looking now, I love it for the coming week. For tomorrow and the coming week. If the daily looks like this, and then tomorrow's candle looks like this, and then next week, right, Monday or Sunday opens, and then through Monday, we maybe look like this, right? It's looking like another amazing week. We keep rejecting new day opening gap. We've been respecting it pretty nicely today, right? Looking at it from like a supply demand perspective. Came back to it, tested, broke above it, retested. High of day, came back, retested, broke below it, retest, retest. Right, let's see if we can break over. Speed, get a pullback, and then that would be somewhat of my entry there. But again, if we display slower and take out these lows with speed, then for me that idea changes, right? Because of how the 4 hour would be trading. 4 hours is relatively weak, hourly displacing lower. So that would be kind of with the idea that we go lower on ES. But so long we hold this swing low here at like around 440, the bias still remains being higher, right? That 15-minute just closed. Let's see what we get. Yes, 4 hour looks like garbage. Yeah, she looks trash. We're literally just in a range. We're either gonna break out to the upside or downside. I try to think about it this way. If I was in shorts, or sorry, if I was in if I was in a short here on the daily, if I was in puts, would I be stressing about this candle? And the answer is yes. I'd be fucking thinking, ah, shit, I'm fucked, right? So for that reason, like being in call options kind of makes me feel better, or makes me feel more confident in holding, given that I'm a little frustrated that I didn't cover more here, but with that in mind, it was part of the game plan, and yeah. Notice how fractal price is, chat. Today's the perfect example of that. 4 hour traded to premium, right? premium PD array, which is that 4-hour fair value gap. Now, take that swing high to low, this retracement leg, right? Where do we pull back to? Discount. But not only discount, the first fair value gap in discount. Actually, we didn't tap. It was, yeah, we just came back to discount in general. Now, after that, you take that swing low to high. Where do we trade up to? Premium of the range, right? Now you take that swing high to low. We're just compressing at this point, right? Just going from premium to discount. Swing high to low, traded a discount. Now trade it back up to that swing high, right? So we just keep compressing and going down and down. So now we're gonna either come down, continue higher, and just keep compressing, or whatever side wins, in my opinion, will be the side that we kind of choose for the remaining of the day. Which is why I said if we take out these lows, I do see us trading lower. But so long we hold these lows, I think we can see high of day, right? Maybe not today, but maybe through Asia or London or even New York. But price being fractal, meaning that what you see on the daily, you can see on the 1 minute. And understanding how multi-time frames work in sync with each other is huge. Yeah, I'm doing a lot of yapping today. Yeah, the hourly just been ranging the last 3 hours as well. The 4 hours been ranging the last 8 hours. So unless we get displacement above new day opening gap, or displacement to the downside below this low, I probably wouldn't be looking to touch this range. This range for me is probably like a no trade zone. I don't like when afternoon session is like this. Yeah, same, bro. Same. We go through waves though, where PM session will be amazing for say 2-3 months, and we'll go through waves where maybe 1 week we were fine, 1 week we're not. But it just depends on price and what price wants to do and where we're at currently, right? In AM, what I noticed, it's the same thing, right? We go through waves and cycles, but it's a little bit more consistent and predictable. Let's see if we can hit that news wick. Yeah, literally. End of day pump, watch. And Alex, I hope so. So long we hold, so long we close green. That's all I'm really asking for. That's all I'm asking for, NQ. Sweep news, wick, and then up. Honestly, I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it, honestly. We also left behind these lows here at this 15-minute gap. We also have these relative equal highs here in premium. Yeah, I need to see, honestly, I need to see speed. We're currently not getting any of that. Just looking at the 5-minute, right? There's no displacement, no eagerness to go to one direction. We had this bullish 5-minute gap, right? Which after that we inverted, and we have yet to create, I guess, another small one here that we inverted again. We inverted, came back to discount, took out the high, inverted that bullish gap again. Yeah, let's see if we get displaced into the downside here. Previous day low currently, level currently. Yeah, literally where we are, man. How's AMD doing? Sheesh, AMD is still fucking strong, huh? Haven't looked at names in a while. Let's see, Nvidia. Tesla. The Russell is almost at the high again. About the YM. YM is at all-time highs. Okay, we rejected the high at new day opening gap, trading lower. Let's see how we act at the lows. Should probably stand. I went from I go through phases where I stand all day and then I sit all day. Never an uptick when I'm long. Hourly. The hourly closes in the next 20 or 17 minutes or so. Let's see. Lomeli, what's up, bro? Felipe, my guy. Doing good, brother. Hee-ho. You sold tape till you go long? That's how it be, man. I'm long switch bias. Is it NFP tomorrow? Actually, I'll look it up here on chat. Oh shit. Then next week we have CPI. On Wednesday. Yeah, so we have two pretty high impact red folder news. One on which is tomorrow. We'll see if we get a reaction, and then another one on Wednesday. Yeah, we'll see what the reaction is. See if they're bullish or bearish. Yeah, we're just fucking ranging, chat. When you start seeing action like this, it's inducive to just chop, right? When you see barbed wire action, and we keep seeing bullish PD arrays getting respected, and then bearish PD arrays getting respected as well, you kind of want to avoid it when it's non-directional, similar to what we're getting now. Signing off a bit early, GB Smooth, my guy. Yeah, appreciate you for tuning in, my guy. Appreciate you, Lomeli. Got to run some errands. Hope you have a good day, my guy, and gang. Stay safe. My guy, Adam, appreciate you, brother. Don't give up, bro. Remember that I used to happen to me all the time. Shit is still happening. Let's fucking go. What's up, bro? Trader Chubbs, my guy. What's up? Literally watching paint dry right now. Literally watching paint dry. What about watching finding long from M15 FEG? Yeah, I see that swing low with that FEG, right? There's also a I see that 100%, but the higher conviction trade, like I said, is if ES can invert this bearish gap, be hovering around over Friday low, get displacement on ES or on NQ to the upside, finally start getting some nice momentum on NQ, that would be a better trade. than staying on and trying to force something in this area. Yeah, there's really, damn, there's really nothing I'm interested in here at all. I hope you guys understand and are kind of seeing what I'm saying, which is the last 3 hours have been in this range, right? We're not going anywhere. This is action you want to be involved in, right? This is action you want to be involved in. This is action you perhaps might wait for, right? The last 3 or 2 4-hour candles, or even 3, let's call it 3. The last 3 4-hour candles are hovering around the same range. And I believe the reason we're doing this is because after a big move, we're stuck in bullish, higher time frame PD arrays, a daily fair value gap, intraday bearish action. Bearish got rejected here, so we're kind of stuck in this range. After a big move like we got yesterday or Tuesday, I wouldn't be surprised if that's the high of the week, right? I wouldn't be surprised if that's the high of the week, and then throughout today and tomorrow we kind of just range. Honestly, that's a scenario that I'm kind of mentally preparing myself for. But again, it's all contingent upon, in my opinion, upon this low holding. That low holding, and I think if that low can hold, we'll see draw coming into either tomorrow or next week. But if we start getting clues such as this low getting taken, then that low getting taken, and not holding, right? Because we can quite literally continue just taking this, right? I'm talking about if we displace below it, continue lower. I think that that draw might not come this week, might not come next week. But for now, everything's looking good. At this point, it's literally just waiting to see if there's any entries. Yeah, I took 3 trades today. All longs. One was essentially up 1R, then minus 1R, then up a little under 2R. Bro, mod me by not answering. No, I missed it. Let me see. Yes, gap fill. My bad. I got you. Let me go back. Oh. Yes, we'll find the gap fill before before NQ. It's not crazy. It's not crazy to think so, but given how we displaced above all-time highs on ES, do I think that's valid? I think a more valid scenario here would be us kind of maybe retesting that area and then continuing. Kind of going based off of like prior history too. Every time we break significant all-time highs, we break, maybe consolidate for a couple of days and then continue, right? Break all-time highs, consolidate, and then continue. Break all-time highs, consolidate, continue. Right? Any significant swing highs. So that option, yeah, like sure, anything can happen. It's trading, right? But yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, I think if we come back down to this low, which is also a discount low, right? Come back down to that low, take it out with speed, and then invert. I'd be interested in some sort of long. That's about the only scenario that I think that I would be interested in partaking in. Given it aligns with higher time frame narrative for myself. We'll see how the hourly closes. It closes in the next 6 minutes. We'll see if we invert this bearish gap or if we hold it still. But yeah, if we get a bearish fair value gap here that we then invert, a long would be nice up until maybe those relative equal highs here. Maybe those levels here. That's about the only thing I'm really... Chat, trust me, I'm trying to find something, but being stuck in this range is not... It's not my trading. Captain, what's up? KCG, my guy, what's up, brother? We are going to 200. Just went long at 617. Have no stop. Holy shit. We are going to 200. Yeah, I mean, that honestly, I kept saying this move was gonna happen. It happened, and now what I think is gonna happen now is if we can hold this general area, literally where we today's low. If we can hold that low, I do think that the level you're aiming for is valid. And again, I wouldn't be surprised if all-time high gets hit soon. What song are you playing in the background? It's honestly, I was experimenting with background music in the beginning of stream, or like the first couple of weeks of streaming. And this is I guess one that I stuck with, which is just a random one. It's called Ibiza Coast Cafe del Mar Chill Deep Music Mix 2025. And it's like a 5-hour long mix. And yeah, I think it's pretty mellow, pretty cool. Which app is this? Assuming you're referring to the charting app, it's TradingView. So it's yeah, TradingView. Looking for the name here on screen, but looks like it wants the wicks low. Yeah, I think yeah, we'll see honestly, because this is action that is for me at least, it's action that I don't have a read on. I don't have a read on anywhere in this area. Like, we can continue doing this and just to take out the low and trade higher, right? So I want to be a partake in action that looks like this, that is displacive. And of course, on the lower time frames, what'll look like that is right, like on the 1 minute, 5 minute, that's what it'll look like. So yeah, for now, literally just waiting. We're literally in a fucking range. Little market maker buy model action. Yeah, if you zoom out on the hourly, kind of what we're getting. And that's honestly kind of what I'm hoping we get, right? The only thing that I don't like from this action would be the yesterday's close. I ideally would have preferred it to not have an upper, not take out priority, kind of be more of an inside bar. But I mean, it is what it is. It's still decent, right? Yeah, if we displace higher, it can set up plays for tomorrow, right? Something like that for tomorrow. If we end up closing here through Asia, kind of do something, in London do something like that, and New York can do something like that, right? Maybe manipulate a low or something, invert, right? Something like that is kind of what I want to see happen. Now, does it matter what I want? No, it's just something I would love to see happen. That would mean everything is aligning. The daily's aligning, monthly's aligning, everything would be aligning, hourly's aligning, right? In this case, the higher time frames are aligning, but the intermediate time frames, which in this case would be the 4 hour, are not really inducive for putting on risk given the conditions, right? Compare these last two 4 hour candles versus I mean, which is an extreme example, but it is a good example. These two candles, right? All right, so the 12 p.m. candle just opened, or I guess 3 p.m. Eastern candle just opened. We still are holding that bullish hourly gap. How are we looking on ES? ES rejected that level. Yeah, again, waiting on this. For now. Loot hit. Chat, whatever happened to fucking single stock futures? Were they just did they just blue ball us? What the fuck is this? Are we able to trade them yet or no? or anyone know what the update is with this shit? Because I was genuinely excited for it, and now so we're still holding that low, right? Which is good. It's looking good for upside here. Now, if we continue this speed past new day opening gap, it's looking good for upside. But if we continue this bullshit and invert this bullish gap, come back lower, invert that, take out the low, it should be it for this session, honestly. Zero volume. Oh, yeah, it's so what happens with that, wrong? When there's zero volume, is it just a matter of time? I guess I've done no research on it, honestly, other than a brief little Google search on them just to see what the tickers were. But does that just mean what the fuck happens? Is it just a waiting game at this point, or is it more of an exchange issue, or not even an issue, an exchange thing to have them roll out some liquidity or some shit? My assumptions is funds aren't going to want to put risk on these assets with low volume when they have the capital to make their trades with shares during the overnights. I see. Yeah, that's interesting. You think that was accounted for already before the rollout, or you think it was just kind of a new thing? Lomeli, what's the best prop firm you suggest? Top two right now that I would recommend are Lucid. Lucid and Tradeify, right? Both amazing firms, simple rules. Lucid Flex, love those accounts. And the selects on Tradeify. Code RAKE, literally best deals. You not only help yourself by saving a couple bucks, but you also help the channel. With any firm, honestly, any single firm you go with, apply code RAKE at discount, and it would genuinely help us a ton, right? I think the only firm that we or that a code doesn't work on would be something like Top Step, but yeah, I don't even think they do codes. But yeah, those are the ones. But again, you could use Top Step. I know Jake just started using Funded. I think it's Funded Next, which looks interesting. Looks like a good firm as well. Or sorry, Funded Seat, Fund Seat. Yeah, Funded Seat. There you go. It's a newer firm, but rules are amazing. Yeah, wouldn't be surprised if it becomes a little bit more mainstream in the coming months. What else? Yeah, Take Profit Trader. I have yet to use Take Profit Trader, but I know that if you're looking for, you're more of an experienced trader and you're looking for bigger payouts, then that could be a firm that you try to. And if you're okay with the trailing drawdown, right? But if you're on the newer side, I would honestly go more for like a Tradeify, Lucid, Top Step, Funded Seat, right? Simpler rules. And again, code RAKE at checkout would get you the best deals. Yo, bro, how you doing? How you feeling? How is life, my guy? Appreciate all you do. Wide side trader, my guy. First and foremost, thank you. Doing good. Feeling good. Yeah, I mean, life is good. Can't complain. Right? Can't complain. Hope you're doing hope you're doing good. I guess. How you doing, Whiteside? I see, Joe. Yeah, I would say something like Tradeify or Lucid. I would start there. Lucid Flex. There you go, Flex, yeah. Tradeify Daily or Tradeify Select or Lucid. Honestly, both the same thing, EOB. Both the same thing. Genuinely, basically the same thing. I talked about on stream how I really just wasn't excited for these until liquidity was proven. Just seemed like it'll be a battle to bring in enough liquidity to trade. Yeah, I see. I mean, now I'm shit. It makes sense now, but I don't know why. I was assuming they would roll out and they would trade identical to the underlying ticker symbol, right? So the day they rolled out, I popped them up on stream. I was like, holy shit, can't find them. But then turns out they were the right contracts I was looking for, or the right futures contracts, but no volume. Yeah, but wrong. As soon as the volume picks up, if and when, which I'm sure it's just a matter of time, it should be exciting. Hi, Lomeli, Sammy, what's up? Thank you, good sir. Got you, Joe. Took a 3-4 month break, coming back fresh, no longer trying to be a hero, trade base hits now. Yeah, fire, base hits. One and done type of mentality, and yeah, no need to rush anything. Chicken agents. What do you call it? $2 chicken? $2 chicken. Buck. That was the fakest laugh I've ever. Let's see. Do I got any jokes? Man, my mind went blank right now. Jordan Harris, what's up, brother? Oh shit. Yeah, we're literally just trading back and forth in this small little range. You know why they don't play any games in the jungle? There's too many cheetahs. Sorry I left you hanging for so long. Thanks for letting me borrow the Lambo for my anniversary with Lady. You to go. My guy, Jordan Harris. I got you, brother. Any day. Let me know if you need the McLaren. Brother, yeah, never mind. I was good. First time tuning in, nice to meet you. Could you give a brief background of your trading journey? Yeah, I got you. A long story short, been trading for 6 years. 6 years pretty much consistently throughout those 6 years. Started back in 2019. Started live account with TD Ameritrade in 2020. Up and downs, right? Started with penny stocks, then did started penny stocks, then traded ETFs, then did options, then moved into futures. That whole journey trading options, would trade a number, 30 names, right? I would look at 30 names at one, then narrowed it down to maybe 8 names in the morning, then maybe down to 5 names. Eventually, wind it down to SPY QQ, SPY in the Qs. And then my transition to futures, predominantly for morning, was as of the last 2 years or so. And I still trade options, right? I just had a nice option play on that. I literally covered about half of my position at the peak here. So I banked on those. Total cumulatively at the peak, it was about, I forgot the math, honestly, 700-800%. So yeah, I still trade options, not as more so as like long-term speculative plays on overall direction. But yeah, on and off, I bought a handful of mentorships. The ones that had the biggest impact on me was the mastermind, Jake's mastermind, and also Umar's initial SML for those OGs. Bought that back in COVID time. So yeah, those two people had the biggest impact on my trading, Jake and Umar. What else? First year lost about 12,000, I remember. Second year it was a little bit less. Third year, slightly less, about break even, and then from there on forward started making slightly more money each year. Let's see, am I missing anything? That's about, I guess, the brief rundown. Wow, didn't know you bought Umar Ashraf's brother. I'm still in the Discord. I'm still in their Discord, which isn't really active anymore. Stock Market Lab. People still talking it on a day-to-day basis, right? But I don't think it's open to the public, and I think it's only, yeah, I'm still in it. I have it open here to my right. But yeah. Hey Lomeli, why I feel stressed when I look at my trade and drawdown? It's you would be a psychopath if it didn't partially stress you. That would mean something's wrong with you. Because you have emotions means you're a human being, and which in turn means that being a human being and seeing money deteriorate from your account means you should feel something, right? Now, the real question you should ask yourself is, if you are acting on that emotion, why are you doing so? When you know that the outcome should be process oriented rather than emotional based, right? Say a word. See you, Jay. Appreciate you. Awesome, man. I've been at it with futures about 3 years now. Used to do QQQ also options. Used to do QQQ options as well, but now really just focus on futures. Yeah, I think for if you're still kind of in that break-even stage, or even losing, or even you're slightly making a little bit of money, whatever stage you're in, I think futures makes it to where it's I wouldn't say easier, but less to worry about, less stress. He seemed like the realist at the time. Yeah, honestly, partially that's why I bought it. That was the first initial I would say real course that I ever bought. And yeah, it was a good group in the beginning until he started kind of shifting away from that. Started focusing more on business, which, I mean, it's amazing. Love the guy. I have nothing but respect for what he built. But yeah, after that, kind of the focus went on other people, and I kind of found a little bit less value in that community. But yeah, overall, I love the guy. Much respect to him. How much was it? Like 10K? No, it was 2,000, I believe. $2,000. I think what you're referring to was the in-person in-person things they would do, him and his brother. Because I remember, I think, asking or reaching out to see how much they were, and I think that's about how much they were. What's your favorite ICT entry model and why? I would say any sort of invert fair value gap with speed after taking out an important level in sync with the proper time frame. And anything I do is not really like, sure, there's a way of looking at it from a mechanical standpoint, like if A happens, do B, or if X happens, do Y, right? But for me, it's more so on trend, price action, and speed, right? I want to see speed. I want to see displacement. I don't want to see this, right? Because technically, I don't know. This isn't inducive for eagerness and price. Like this isn't telling me that price wants to trade higher. All this is telling me is that price just wants to hang out. If we get speed as a form of like fair value gaps, right, to either the upside, or we take out an important low to the downside, speed, and then we invert that with speed, that tells me that price tried to go lower past the important swing low in discount of the range, but didn't, and we're now inverting that you could call it block of orders on the downside, right? And vice versa to the upside. If we get speed, displacement, just look for a potential higher low in the form of an invert on the 1 minute or 5 minute, depending on what time frames are in sync with each other, right? That's huge. When do you start live stream? Every day. So yeah, okay. I was just kind of looking at how you worded that. I start live stream every day at 1:30 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, price is just being price. Yeah, I didn't know it was that NFP yet, yesterday. Tomorrow, so we'll see how NFP reacts. Do we trade explode high or do we displace lower? We're not going anywhere. Yeah, it's looking like a cash session for me, chat, honestly. Through our stream, we've stayed in this range here. If you look at it on the 15-minute, took out the high, came back, almost took out the low, came back to the high, right before the high, back to the low. With no urgency, just slow trailing higher, slow trailing lower. No conviction on my end to either take the shorts or the longs. The longs never, entry model on long side never presented itself. One thing I did mention is if this swing low is able to hold, that would give me more conviction that draw is still at the 30,100 level, right? So which we're currently doing that pretty nice, but yeah, there's really nothing I can do here in this fucking range. What time do you end stream normally? At 12:30. Sorry, I gotta speak in Eastern time. At 3:30 p.m. Eastern. So in about 8 minutes or so, I'll more than likely end stream. Fuck, Chad. I typically don't do arm workouts, like isolated tricep and bicep workouts. Yesterday, I hit a workout with my brother. Man, am I fucking sore. We literally did arms or biceps, triceps for about an hour and a half. I was done. I tried to come back home and shoot a basketball. I'm like, holy shit. And today I'm fucking holding the mouse, pressing my tricep down. It's fucking crazy. It feels crazy. So if you're in here, Brian, we got to run it again. I don't run it. Military workout? Nah, it was just I don't know. I don't really train like that. For me, I train more of a I'm more of a loose kind of fuck happened. Sorry, I'm over here. Okay, cool. I had chat popped out and it was saying next stream. Just making sure it's still on. Now the way I like to train more so is more like loose, more I guess you could call it athletic, more dynamic rather than isolated. Like I hate going to the gym and just sitting on a bench and not really sweating. I want to sweat. I want to be able to move, which as of the last couple of months, it's been hard because of my knee issue, which is getting better. It feels good. My range of motion is getting better, but it's still, I am not 100% confident to twist and turn and jump on it and stuff. But yeah, it's definitely two different workouts, which I'm not used to. Ball after an upper body workout is a humbling experience. Brother, literally 30 minutes after shooting a basketball after a tricep and bicep arm workout you're not really used to, brother, you're like, what the fuck? I look all fucking stupid shooting a basketball. Like, yeah, maybe I should just wait. What happened to your knee? I'm new. I was in Costa Rica doing those little what are they called? It's like a mini surfboard. There's a name for it. Paddleboard? No, there's a name. Regardless, a mini surfboard. And I was trying to catch the tide when the tide goes up and then it comes back down and then it creates like this wave. Trying to catch that, but instead it got stuck on the I missed the tide essentially. It got stuck on the sand, and my knee at the time, it was just weird placement to where essentially my body kind of went over my knee a little bit. Boogie board, there you go. Yeah, it kind of felt weird walking back to the car. Yeah, ever since then it's kind of been, I lost kind of like my range of motion. It didn't swell up fully. There was no visible swelling, but it just felt swollen inside. And yeah, my range of motion was literally limited for like the first 2 months after I came back. May, June. Yeah, and then about like early July, or basically been about a month and a half or so that my range of motion is kind of back. It feels good. Like I can squat on it. I can put weight on it. I can do certain things, but it's just still there. Actually, let me edit that real quick. Because actually now code rake. What the fuck? All right, let's do this again. Paste. All right, pin message. There you go. Yeah, it's looking like a cash session today, chat. Lucid, 30% off, code rake at discount for I think one of the easier, straightforward models. And again, code rake would get you the best deal. Yeah, NQ doesn't at all. Again, we've been hovering in this range. No real fluid price. I think trying to catch any of this here, in my opinion, isn't high probability. I'm genuinely interested to see what we do for NFP tomorrow pre-market. That should be interesting. Do we get a reaction at all? Do we spike? Do we spike to the downside? Do we stay flat? What do we do through Asia today? All those are very interesting for me tomorrow. Yeah, that's it for me, chat. I'm gonna go ahead and hop off. There's really nothing I'm interested in here for NQ. Literally been stuck in a range. I think if you are looking to try to put something on, I would say it's probably smarter to just walk away. No need to push it today. Tomorrow's a new day. Tomorrow's Friday. We're having kind of this consolidation type of day into after what was a run, right, for 2 days. So let's see what we get tomorrow. Again, so long we hold that low, I think we see higher prices, but yeah, we're gonna have to wait and see. Polar Bear, appreciate you, brother, for being in here. My guy. Adrian, take care, brother. All love. Lomeli, if you are to give one piece of advice to a new trader, I guess I'll end it there. One piece of advice to a new trader is keep fucking going. Keep fucking going. Everything you're going through now, let's pop up the face. Everything you're going through now is required for you to get to where you want to get to, right? Whether that's you're going through a stressful time, you maybe don't trust your strategy, maybe you have been doing this for 2 years and you're like, fuck, how much longer? Am I that stupid? Everything that you're going through, I have been through, Jake has been through, Rong has been through, Mitch has been through, Alan has been through, right? I'm not here to speak on what they have or have not gone through, but what I'm trying to get across is trading is a hard game that requires time to do the heavy lifting for you to actually, one, understand market pattern recognition, right? And two, understand that it's a mental game, right? You have to understand that it requires a technical edge, but also having a mental edge, right? And they play hand in hand. The technicals are just as important. Having an edge is just as important as having control of your emotions. If you're in a financial situation where you need money, trading is going to be harder. I can speak that from experience, right? Whereas, and if you're doing good financially, if you're paying the bills, if you have a steady job and you get into trading, it should be relatively, I wouldn't say easier, but relatively simpler to kind of go with the flow and let time do the heavy lifting. But yeah, I'll keep it nice and short. I think that's the biggest piece of advice that I would give based off of my experience. But yeah, I'll finish it off here. And that's it for me, chat. Deuces. And I think we're now reacting off that swing low, which is enticing, chat. A range low. Sorry, I know I said I was gonna hop out of here, but tapped into a 15-minute gap. Yeah, that's it for me, chat. I'm gonna get out of here before I do anything stupid. Yeah, this range is still just ranging, but if anything, yeah. All right, chat. I'm out of here. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys tomorrow. Code RAKE on every single firm. Lucid, Tradeify, Funded Seat would get you the best deal. Support the channel and be here tomorrow for Friday. We'll see what we get tomorrow. Later, chat.